How's it, guys? Welcome to the 6th episode of the Money Marx Money Audit Show. Yes, I am officially breathing new life into this series like a phoenix rising up from the ashes. It's been a full 2 years since I last did a money audit, and a lot has actually happened since. I switched careers from veterinary medicine to financial planning. I'm close to completing my postgraduate diploma and earning my certified financial planner designation, and have created hundreds of personalized financial plans for clients. So I am really excited to bring this upgraded level of knowledge, skills, and experience to your screens by auditing different money profiles with the hope of teaching good financial principles through practical case studies. Now, reading the comments on my other episodes, it seems like you guys really enjoy this style of teaching, so I think this series will really complement my standard deep dive technical videos, thereby helping you see how the different financial topics can be applied in real life. Now, as always, the information shared on this channel is for educational purposes only and should not be seen as financial, tax, legal, or investment advice. Always consult a licensed financial advisor before making any financial decisions. So to kick off the second season of the Money Audit series, we are going to audit a 6-figure salary earner who has less than 10,000 Rand in savings. He is a 36-year-old IT project manager from Cape Town, earning a monthly net income of 65,000 Rand, is married with a 2.5-year-old son, has a spender money personality, and he wants to save for his child's tertiary education, he wants to travel more, and he wants to reach financial freedom at the age of 65. So from the get-go, we can see that he has a healthy stream of income, important family responsibilities, and noble financial goals, but which are unfortunately very poorly defined, but I'll get into that a bit later. If we look at his expenses, he pays 2,200 Rand on rates and taxes, 3,000 on utilities and internet, 2,000 on petrol, 5,000 on groceries, 4,200 on medical aid and gap cover, 1,800 on short-term insurance for his car, 1,000 Rand on cell phone and banking, 1,500 on personal care and hygiene, and 4,500 Rand on childcare. This totals his needs to 25,200 Rand per month, or 39% of his net income. He also spends 2,500 Rand on dining out, 2,000 Rand on alkies and ciggies, 800 on streaming and subscriptions, 2,000 on clothing, 2,000 on gadgets, and 1,000 on gifts, which brings his wants to a total of 10,300 Rand per month, or 16% of his net income. And when we look at his debt and savings, he's paying 15,000 Rand towards his home loan, 7,850 towards his car loan, 4,000 towards his credit card, and 2,500 towards his personal loan, which he took out to buy furniture for the house. This totals a whopping 29,350 Rand, or 45% of his paycheck, that goes directly towards debt payments every single month, leaving him with a measly 150 Rand that can go towards his savings and investments. Okay, so let's unpack this. The most obvious problem staring us right in the face is all of his debt payments. I'm not too concerned about his home loan, as it is taking up less than 25% of his net income, and his car loan seems okay, but when combined with the 2,000 Rand he spends on petrol and 1,800 on car insurance, his total cost of car ownership sits at 18% of his net income, which is higher than the 15% cap that I would normally recommend. Now, these two are already taking up a huge hop out of his monthly paycheck, so he should prioritize killing off the credit card and personal loan as soon as possible. And he can only do so by increasing his margin of savings in one of two ways. He can either increase his income or decrease his expenses. Now, I always like to start with decreasing expenses, as there are usually a few easy wins that we can find. 5,000 Rand per month on groceries for 3 people is not that bad, but when combined with 2,500 Rand on takeouts, it becomes way too much. If he puts more effort into meal prepping on Sundays, he won't have to go and buy takeaways every single week, so I believe we can shave around 1,500 Rand off this category. Medical care is important for a young family, and they basically just have a hospital plan with some gap cover, so I'll keep that as is. His insurance expenses are actually too low, as he has no long-term insurance in place, and being the main breadwinner of the family, he has a responsibility to cover the risk of him passing away or becoming disabled, potentially leaving his wife and child in financial trouble, so he will need to take out at the very least income protection to cover his after-tax salary, lump sum disability cover to cover all of his debts, and life cover to also cover his debts and to make financial provision for his family after his death. This will cost him approximately 1,500 Rand per month, which brings us back to zero. Now he's paying 600 Rand per month for his private bank account, which I think is a waste of money. So he can downgrade to a much cheaper account of 100 Rand per month, opening up 500 bucks. He is not in a financial position to be clubbing brandies and chuffies every weekend. So for now, he can cut out the 2,000 Rand he spends on these. He really does not need Netflix, Showmax, Disney Plus, YouTube Premium, and ChatGPT Premium all at the same time. So cancelling 2 or 3 of these streaming services can open up another 500 bucks. Now being a natural spender, he is a sucker for one day only specials. So he needs to delete that bloody app and apply the 24-hour rule before buying any big ticket items. This will easily shave off another 850 Rand from his tech spending. And if we tally up all of these easy wins, we suddenly have a margin of savings of 4,000 Rand per month. And if we flip the coin to increasing his income, his time is best leveraged focusing on the things he's already very good at. And being a skilled IT technician, he's happy to add some extra hours to his full-time job every month, earning an additional 6,000 Rand after taxes. So now we are at a much healthier margin of 10,000 Rand in positive cash flow every month, which is 14% of his new net monthly income of 71,000 Rand. So the next question is, where do we now best direct this new cash flow? He has no investments in place and only 10,000 Rand in savings. So I would first prioritize and focus all of my energy and resources on building up an emergency fund in a normal bank savings account that will cover 1 month's expenses, which is now around 60,000 Rand. Yes, this will take up to 5 months to complete, but without this cash buffer, he will just fall into more bad debt if and when he gets hit by an emergency. Once this is done, we can turn our attention towards his debts, which includes a home loan of 1.5 million with a 10.5% interest rate and 15,000 Rand monthly payment, a 380,000 Rand car loan with a 13.5% interest rate and 7,850 Rand monthly payment, a credit card of 50,000 Rand with a 17% interest rate and 4,000 Rand monthly payment, and a personal loan of 20,000 Rand with a 25% interest rate and 2,000 Rand payment. Now I like to follow the snowball method of paying off bad debt. We rank our debts from the lowest balance to the highest, continue to pay the minimum amount on each, and then focusing all of our efforts on smashing the lowest balance first. And once that is done, reallocating the extra cash flow to the next lowest balance, and then we rinse and repeat until everything is paid off. So in this case, I will use the 10,000 Rand cash flow to smash the personal loan in months 6 and 7, and then use the 10,000 Rand plus the 2,000 Rand that opened up to smash the credit card in months 8 to 11. This means before the end of the first year, he will have no bad debt anymore, a 1 month emergency fund, and 16,000 Rand in positive cash flow every single month, which is now 22.5% of his net income. Not bad at all. Now, once these checkpoints are reached, I will revisit the emergency fund and focus on bumping it up to cover 3 months of expenses, which is another 103,000 Rand that I will save in a separate money market fund. This will take another 7 months, so after 1.5 years, he will finally have laid down a solid foundation for his financial future, which means he will finally be ready to start building his wealth. So this brings us to his financial goals, which, if you can recall, involves traveling more, funding his child's tertiary education, and retiring at the age of 65. Now, when setting financial goals, you have to be specific. Otherwise, you won't have a plan, only a cluster of wishes that just won't materialize. So, we want to know 3 things. How far away the goal is, how much the goal will cost us, and how much we have already saved up for that specific goal. Now, our friend here doesn't have any other savings or investments apart from his emergency fund. And seeing that it is 1.5 years later, he is now 37.5 and his son 4 years old. So after some deep thought, he defined his goals as follows. Number 1, he wants to spend 50,000 Rand on a family holiday in 2 years' time. Number 2, he wants 400,000 Rand available to pay for his son's university degree in 14 years. And number 3, he wants to retire at the age of 65, which is 27.5 years away, where he wants to spend 40,000 Rand per month for the rest of his life. Now, by plugging all of these numbers into the calculators of my investment course, we see that our guy will have to save about 2,100 Rand per month for his travel goal, 2,700 per month for his child's tertiary education goal, and a whopping 26,500 Rand per month for his retirement goal. Now this is obviously not going to be possible with his 16,000 Rand per month cash flow, so we will need to decide on some trade-offs. He can try to further increase his income or decrease his current expenses to be able to invest more, but seeing that he has already exhausted both these options, and that his wife is currently staying at home to look after his son, he will need to change his goals. Now he values experiences and family above everything else, so his travel and education goals will remain in place. This leaves us with 11,200 Rand per month that can go towards his retirement savings. Now if he wants to spend 40,000 Rand per month in retirement, adjusted for inflation, he will need to invest that 11,200 Rand per month for 43 years, assuming an average return of 10%. Now at that point, he is already an 80-year-old Opa, which is way too late for him. This just comes to show how important it is to be realistic about our expectations when we invest for retirement. He started quite late, so he can't expect to provide 30 years of retirement income by only investing for 27.5 years. So he will need to make some more trade-offs. Instead of wanting to spend 40,000 Rand per month in retirement, he cut it back to 30,000 Rand per month. This brings his retirement date down to the age of 75, which is still not ideal, but at least it's better than 80. Now it is far from the end of the world, as what we have not taken into account here is the fact that he will likely get a raise in the future, which will enable him to invest more. His wife can go back to work and contribute to the investments. Once his car and home is paid off, he can redirect those cash flows into his investment portfolio, and he might even still continue to work in some capacity after retirement to earn a bit of income, which will help lower the deficit and take off a lot of strain from what his investment portfolio should provide. But the point that I want to get across here is that you need to understand that you will have to save and invest a lot more than you might think in order to one day retire comfortably. There is a reason why only 6% of South Africans can retire. It is tough, it takes discipline, and the earlier you start, the better compounding can work in your favor. So once our guy has stopped crying, we can start putting his investment portfolio together. His travel goal in 2 years' time is very short term, so he should not be taking any risk with this investment, and thus a normal bank savings account or a money market fund will be perfect to save in. His child's tertiary education goal is still 14 years away, which is long term, so he should be considering something like a World Equity Index Fund or ETF, as equity has outperformed property, bonds and cash over the long term, and will thus give him the best chance of growth as long as he can stomach the short-term volatility that will come along with it. For his retirement savings, he can max out both him and his wife's tax-free savings accounts at 3,000 Rand per month each, also in a World Equity Index Fund, and then invest the remaining 5,200 Rand per month into his retirement annuity using a low-cost balanced index fund. This ensures his retirement savings grows completely tax-free, and thanks to his RA contributions, he should receive a tax refund from SARS of about 25,000 Rand every year, which he can gooi into his car loan to pay it off sooner, or back into his RA to further snowball its growth. Apart from these, he also needs to set up a will with his wife to record their wishes upon death and to nominate a guardian and trustees for his son's testamentary trust if they were to pass away together. This is crucial for any parent to have in place. So as you can see, our man here is not broke, but he was working much harder for his money than what his money was working for him. He was earning a solid income, but he had almost nothing to show for it. He was one paycheck away from financial disaster, and if something were to happen to him, he would have left his wife and son in financial destitute. He was kind of YOLOing life without any clear strategy, trusting that tomorrow will take care of itself. He had to first face the music and acknowledge that he couldn't continue with the same trajectory. He had to sit on his ass and go through his bank statements to track his expenses, cut down on what was unnecessary, hustle extra office hours to increase his income, aggressively pay off his bad debt, invest his time and resources in learning how to put together a successful investment portfolio, and build the discipline to consistently invest his money every single month, regardless of what the market does or what Frikkie at the Braai said was the next best coin that will make everyone instantly rich. But now that he has his plan fully mapped out and he knows exactly what to do when, he is liberated from the fear of the unknown, excited about the future, and motivated to reach his goals even quicker. He ignited a spark that can turn into a wildfire, and that's the magic that happens once money starts to make sense. It is almost addicting and contagious, and something that I wish everyone can one day experience. So if you are also earning well but feeling stuck, don't wait for a crisis to happen before getting clarity. I got you. My flagship Money Marx investing course gives you a proven blueprint to build your own investment plan, step by step, just like I explained in this video, but with much more detail, workbooks, calculators, and resources to help you finally take control of your financial future. So click the link below to check it out. And also let me know in the comments what you would have done differently if you were in this guy's shoes. You must all have a lekker one. Cheers.